Hello everyone, my name is Alexandre and I've just decided to found a channel on YouTube where basically I'll be trying to help English learners improve their English. Actually, this is my first video where I'll be trying to help English learners improve their English. And from my own experience, I really believe that it's possible to improve quite a lot uh, your English language through the method that I'm going to demonstrate right now. Actually, I'm going to be reading an exciting news article from the good old BBC or British Broadcasting Corporation. Now, I've just decided to start by reading a news which I think is really relevant for all of us. It doesn't affect only England, but it has affected many countries all over the world. We're basically talking about inflation in the UK. So let's read that video together so we can see how English is written in a way but then spoken differently. Okay, so here we go. Inflation is low to 6.8%, but flights and hotels keep prices high. This is by Michael Race, a business reporter from the BBC News. Inflation slowed last month due to lower energy costs, but pressure remains on households with food, restaurant and hotel costs staying high. The inflation rate, measuring price changes over time, fell to 6.8% in the year to July, down from 7.9% in June. Lower electricity and gas prices drove the drop, but price rises in other areas have led to expectations that interest rates will be raised further. The cost of eating out has risen, along with alcohol and tobacco prices. Flight prices continued to rise, jumping almost 30% compared to July last year, according to the official figures released by the Office for National Statistics, ONS. Inflation is much lower than it was at its peak of 11.1% in October, but it still remains high compared to historical rates and much higher than the Bank of England's 2% target. When the rate of inflation falls, it doesn't mean that prices are coming down, but that they're rising less quickly. Wages have been failing to keep up with rising prices for some time, but there are potential signs of change after figures on Tuesday revealed wages rose 7.8% annually between April and June. Alongside reductions in energy bills, price rises for staple food items. Staple means basic, like milk, butter, bread, eggs, cereal, and fish eased. But overall, food still costs almost 15% more than 1 year ago. How the cost of some foods has risen. So we have here a column with the items, their quantity, July 2023 price, and an increase since July 2022. So here we have, for example, granulated sugar. 1 kilo of that item is 1.12% a pound, which represents an increase of 54% since July 2022, which is an absurd. Eggs, for example, which is also a quite common item, 12 eggs, which costs 3.31 pounds in July now, which represents an increase of 27% since July 2022. We have the cheddar cheese, 400 grams at 3.8 pounds, which represents an increase of 23% from July 2022. We have sliced white bread, 800 grams, costing 1.35 pounds, which represents a 15% increase. We have chicken, the whole integrated unit, costing 3.84 pounds per kilo, which represents 15%, and potatoes, 1 kilogram, 0.74 pounds, representing 12% of increase from past year. We have milk, 2 pints of milk for 1.25 pounds, representing 11% of increase since last year. This is the source, Office for National Statistics. Okay, here we go. Matthew Calder, Deputy Director at Prices at the ONS, the Office for National Statistics, said falling gas and electricity prices drove down inflation last month when a change to the energy price cap, which limits how much suppliers can charge households for what they use, came into force. While easing energy bills and food costs will be welcome for households, there will be little cause for celebration at the Bank of England, according to Danny Hewson, head of financial analysis at AG Bell. Quote, inflation is still significantly above that 2% target, and even if it's cooling off faster than a sunburnt Brit diving into a hotel pool, prices are not falling. They're just not rising as fast as they have been, she said. Wage increases and price pressures have forced up service costs, and that's weaving its own nasty spell on core inflation, she added. Core inflation, which strips out the price of energy, food, alcohol, and tobacco, remained unchanged in July at 6.9%. The rate is higher than in Germany, France, and US, and it's a figure that's closely watched by the Bank of England, which sets interest rates. With inflation still more than 3 times the bank's 2% target, many experts expect it will raise interest rates again in September in an attempt to slow price rises. So here we have a table where we can notice the UK inflation at 6.8% in July 2023. So we can see that we had an inflation below 2% in 2014, then almost zero in 2016, then a rise at 2018, a slight down at 2020, and at 2022 a huge peak of inflation, and now this year, July 23, it has come down to 6.8%, which is quite good signal. This is from the Office for National Statistics, from BBC Corporation, British Broadcasting Corporation. Okay, let's continue. The bank has steadily increased interest rates to 5.25%, their highest level in 15 years, meaning mortgage costs have jumped. But savings rates have also increased. Higher rates can also lead to high credit card and low repayments. It hopes that if it makes borrowing more expensive, people will spend less. Demand will slow, and the prices will not rise as quickly. Ruth Gregory, Deputy Chief UK Economist at Capital Economics, said with wage growth and the services inflation both stronger than the bank had expected, its decision makers would look to raise rates from 5.25% to 5.5% in September. In the year to July, services inflation, which includes data on prices for services in venues like bars, hairdressers, and restaurants, was back up to 7.4%, the joint highest level since 1992. The ONS said price increases for hotels drove services inflation high. Okay, we've just reached the end of the video, and now let's read an analysis by Faisal Islam, economics editor from BBC British Broadcasting Corporation. So he says, at first glance, this sharp fall in the rate of inflation to below 7% puts the UK on a path to a more normal economic situation. However, the underlying measures of inflationary pressures across the economy are no longer going in the right direction. Services inflation was back up to 7.4%, the joint highest level since 1992. Core inflation, which strips out volatile food and energy costs, remained at 6.9%. The significance of these measures is that they show how much inflation is left in the economy after the direct impacts of the energy shock have passed through. This set of figures increase the likelihood of further interest rate rises in September and perhaps October too. While the Prime Minister has said there is light at the end of the tunnel, Wednesday's figures confirm that we can see a tunnel out of these, but it may still be some time before the light is reached. The owner of Niger High Street, a Nigerian food store in South London, told the BBC he has been limiting its price hikes despite some running costs doubling. So, quite difficult situation. Fisara, I think it's that way it's pronounced, if not, I beg your pardon, who runs the business with his wife, said about the plantain. Plantain is a sort of a large banana. Of plantain costs between £35 and £40 compared to £16 5 years ago, while prices for meat and beans and other imported ingredients has risen. Fisara says he might have to increase his prices. He said he's fortunate to be on a busy street market with steady footfall. Steady footfall means that there are quite a lot of people where his market is located, but fears if wholesale costs do not ease soon, the shop will have to put up its prices. Everything's gone up, but somehow we've been able to absorb it, he said. If they don't fall, we'll have to unfortunately increase our prices so that the business can cope. That means to survive a difficult situation. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak defended his record on tackling the cost of living, saying the plan to ease rising prices was working. He said it was difficult for people to understand the scale of government support with energy bills. Shadow Chancellor Rachel Reeves said inflation in Britain remained higher than many other major economies. Quote, after 13 years of economic chaos and incompetence under the Conservatives, working people are worse off with higher energy bills and prices in the shops, she said. Heidi Kyle-Lehnen, a research economist at the Institute for Fiscal Studies, suggested the government's pledge to halve the inflation by the end of this year was always a little odd, as there's only so much the Treasury can do to influence the pace of price increases. When the target was set, the Prime Minister may have hoped he could rely on falling in energy prices to do most of the work to hit it, she said. However, the stubbornly high rate of price inflation for goods and services other than food and energy has put the target in jeopardy, in risk. With only 4 months to go, it no longer seems at all clear that inflation at the end of the year will have fallen by enough to achieve it. Okay, that's it. I've just finished reading that news article, that exciting news article from BBC, good old BBC, British Broadcasting Corporation. So, as I said at the start, I really believe that it is possible to improve English through reading, because there's one thing that has to be considered. English is written in a way, but it's spoken differently. So I really believe, from my own experience, that through reading at the same time as we're speaking it is a really excellent way to improve your English. So I've just decided to record that video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs like, subscribe, help the channel, and that's it for today. Cheers.